The future of well-being is evolving with three important distinctions. I've been in this field for 25 years and it's growing exponentially, and it's completely fascinating to me, and I'm very excited to share it with you today. But first, I think there's something that you should know. I want you to imagine you're meeting someone for the first time. And you notice this colorful, stringy, messy cloud streaming from the back of their head. And you wonder, what is that? And you ask them. And they say, oh, that's just my mind. Hi everybody, I'm Brad, and yes, this is my mind. All of this 24/7 going on behind me gives my family license to make fun of me. My kids think I cannot chew gum and walk at the same time, and when my wife and I go out, she doesn't like to let me drive because she doesn't think I can drive and talk at the same time. She usually wins, but fear not, I've managed to focus it in for all of us today, and I'm going to preface it with this. In the future, well-being will not matter unless it is experienced. The pandemic, we know, has forever changed us. The lines between personal and professional continue to blur. No one disputes that. But despite it, what has not changed is this. People, businesses, organizations still want to win at the game of business, but also the game of life. How we define winning is changing too. We're beginning to add elements like purpose and legacy and connection. Now let me say that I am specifically using the word well-being and not wellness. Wellness is out, well-being is in. Wellness has traditionally been positioned in opposition to disease, or sometimes as one-off tactics, like a mindfulness workshop, or a mental health day, or a yoga class on the campus green. When we say wellness is out and well-being is in, it's why workplace wellness proponents, like Michael O'Donnell has said in the American Journal of Health Promotion, most programs, maybe 90 to 95%, are too superficial to have much impact. Now, well-being, on the other hand, is far more comprehensive. It accounts for factors that affect the entire person. Gallup defines well-being as encompassing 5 elements. Physical, as we might expect, but also financial and social and community and career. And Dan Buettner's Blue Zones, those 5 areas of the world where people live a long, healthy life with vitality and independence as they age, one of which is in the US, he found 9 elements that also layer in things like purpose and belonging and connection. Now these are great starting points, but we have to resist our instinct to turn this into a cookie-cutter concept and leave room for what is meaningful to each of us. I said well-being doesn't matter unless it's experienced, because it's the experience of well-being that drives performance. And people who perform at a high level win, or position themselves to win. On an organizational level, consider this bold statement by Gallup Chairman and CEO Jim Clifton. The most important dial on any leader's dashboard over the next 20 years will be well-being. And he went on to say, the money that well-being improvement will mean for companies in terms of job performance gains and job productivity gains, as well as healthcare cost reductions, is substantial. How substantial? Well, last year, the behavioral change organization BetterUp published results of their research on the value of belonging at work. And they found that a high level of belonging was associated with a 56% increase in job performance, a 50% decrease in turnover risk, and a 75% decrease in sick days for just a 10,000 person company. That's an annual savings of $52 million. Gallup's research also has shown us that employees who are experiencing well-being are physically healthier, more engaged, and more productive at work. At the software giant SAP, They don't pretend that employee well-being is solely about making employees happier and healthier. It's about making SAP a more successful company. Now, if we switch to the personal level, well-being can be personified by icons like Suzanne Summers. Suzanne's a great example of well-being because she has longevity and vitality, and her well-being allows her to perform at a high level as an actress that we know and love, Chrissy Snow from Three's Company with roller skates and pigtails, but also as a tremendously successful entrepreneur and businesswoman and an advocate for healthy fitness and aging. And last summer in Boston, I had the honor of presenting with her at the Harvard Club, and she was introduced first. But when I got up on stage, now she just turned 74. I was stunned because not only did she look fantastic, she was fantastic. Her energy, her intellect, her humor. She walks the well-being walk. And according to our own CDC, high levels of well-being are associated with decreased risk of disease, better immune function, faster recovery times, and increased longevity. When we are experiencing well-being, we have energy and focus, and we're in charge of our reaction to stress. We have stress. We always have, always will, especially now. But we're able to choose our response and adapt and overcome, and that's called resilience. And we also have a healthy perspective and a sense of connection and belonging. As I said, the future of well-being is evolving, and it's evolving with three important distinctions. And the first distinction is this: well-being will be self-defined. This is not a one-size-fits-all proposition. 20 years of helping patients reverse their chronic disease through lifestyle-based medicine has shown me and led me to believe that what one person wants to see out of their well-being may look very different from yours, or yours, or yours. The second distinction: well-being will be intentionally engineered. Food will be engineered with climate change and sustainability and planetary well-being in mind, like sourcing protein from crickets and plant-based meat alternatives and hemp-derived CBD-infused beverages. Artificial intelligence and digital health tools are going to be mainstream to include wearables like smart shoes we control with our phone, patches, rings, sensors, wristbands, all that track and measure our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And communities will be engineered with green spaces and locality and connection and bike paths and walking paths and a focus on improving the health outcomes of those communities, like we're seeing with the Blue Zone projects all across the United States. And the third distinction: well-being will ultimately be experiential. Its successful achievement will be measured by the degree to which it is experienced, the degree to which performance is enhanced, and the degree to which we're able to manifest just the best version of ourselves. And no matter how each of us might frame our well-being, what's common is this: that immense sense of joy and contentment and satisfaction that each of us feel when we define and engineer and experience it. Now, technology will help us measure that experience, but who will champion well-being? On the organizational level, it's why you're already seeing a new addition to the C-suite: the Chief Wellbeing Officer, at least if you're an organization that values performance. And this is industry agnostic. Consulting firms like Deloitte, law firms like Kirkland & Ellis, software giants like SAP, health systems like Novant Health, universities like Arizona State, all have Chief Wellbeing Officers. And their purpose is very simple: to help build stronger, more profitable companies through healthy, happy, and high-performing people. The Chief Wellbeing Officer owns the strategy and implementation of that strategy such that it's driven into the DNA of the organization. They're the ambassador from the C-suite for people to be their best selves personally and professionally. They curate and share the science behind well-being. They build awareness of its importance, and they lead the engineering of it. This concept of experience is not new. The experience economy, as we know it, is about 20 years old. It's not going away. We're actually digging a little bit deeper in. We're seeing it also in the C-suite as we see roles like customer experience officer, employee experience officer. I think it's time for a well-being experience officer. Now let me say, this role is not a medical role, it's not a wellness role, it's not an HR role. It's not the chief medical officer who oversees a gigantic medical center. It's not the chief wellness officer who's charged with reducing burnout. It's not the chief human resource officer who's building and retaining exceptional talent. It's distinct. It will work closely with HR and even finance because we have to show an ROI, a return on our investment, or what I like to call an ROWB, a return on well-being. It's not a 6 or 12-month initiative. It's not a walk event. It's not an annual biometric screen or the latest app. It's a holistic approach to strategically driving long-term performance. The Chief Wellbeing Officer takes the goals and challenges of the organization over the next 5 years and marries those with the well-being needs of its members. And they get senior leadership buy-in, and they walk the walk, and then they assemble their team to execute. On a personal level, well-being for me has been many things. But my foundation of well-being starts with family and friendship. So I'm very lucky. I have a crazy, large, amazing Italian family, and when we get together, they talk too loud and they eat too much, and they take 30 minutes to say hello and another 30 minutes to say goodbye, but I would not have my well-being without them. And I also am lucky to have a group of friends that I lovingly call my bunch of monks. And it couldn't be any more true that I, personally, really do get by with a little help from my friends. The best part is we get to be our own chief well-being officers by defining it and then designing our life so that we can engineer it into our experience and ultimately do what I believe we are here to do, which is actualize our potential, whatever that may be, and then share that potential with our communities and with our world. And one of the most beautiful things about creating well-being in the future is that we get to define what that means to each of us, no matter if we're a mom or a dad or an executive or an athlete. What we know is the experience economy, it's going to meld with well-being to create a well-being economy. We're already seeing evidence of this with experiential vacations, like wellness retreats, like the one that changed my life in 2018. And companies with their products and services, like the Key Sunglass Company, who promotes an experience of their sunglasses on your own face, so you get an experience of what they look like on you, virtually at home. Or the Casper Mattress Napmobile that tours the country, a big 18-wheeler divided in 4 luxurious nap cabins, giving people an experience of their mattresses. Or in my home city of Atlanta, the Porsche Experience Center. When I was a kid, I used to tease my dad that when I grew up I was going to buy him a Porsche. And he never let me forget it. And so on his 75th birthday, I could not buy him a Porsche, but I could fly him down and take him as a gift to experience what driving a Porsche on their special track and all of those things really felt like. Now you can commoditize wellness products, but you cannot commoditize an experience of well-being. The future of well-being will be self-defined, intentionally engineered, and ultimately experiential. Take your first step into the future and thoughtfully reflect on what experiencing a life of deep well-being would really look like in your life. And do it as if no one else is watching. Thank you.